Hey everybody, I'm Curtis,
And I'm Hannah.
and this is Love at First Fright.
Curtis.
What?
My legs hurt. My butt hurts. My right elbow hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Everything hurts.
Yeah, I think it's because you did roller derby.
For the first time. I am not especially athletic, but decided it would be fun to sign up for my local roller derby skate camp. And I've never skated before.
Mm.
And it's really hard. I barely, because they obviously have the indoor rink, but then they have some carpeted areas on either side. And I barely got off of the carpet today while everyone else was on the track.
This is primarily why I did not sign up. Well, no, I won't say primarily. This is the secondary reason. Primarily, I don't have time. I just straight up don't have time. I do this show, I work, I go to school.
It's too much.
I run 3 different games of Dungeons and Dragons.
And
I play even more than that. It's exponential. So I got to maintain a yard. It's a lot.
And I've got absolutely nothing going
Yeah,
on.
you work and you were like, I could fill up some of that other time. But no, it is one of the reasons I didn't sign up is I've skated before.
Mm-hmm.
I have never skated without falling and injuring myself in some way and been like, I don't want to do that now.
Yeah.
But I think it is cool, like you said, you're not very athletic, but this is how you become athletic.
Yeah.
This is your sport now.
That was part of the appeal because, I work from home.
Yeah.
And I feel like especially in the past couple years working from home, I just don't move around and exercise as much as I used to.
Yeah. Well, we sit doing this. We're not at a standing thing. Maybe we should do that.
Get a standing desk.
Or we could just lift the microphone up and just stand. It doesn't have to be a standing desk.
But anyway, aside from it sounding fun, I was like, oh, maybe it'll be a cool, it's sort of built-in exercise / social time in my week.
Yeah.
So I am going to go back.
Yeah.
On the next practice.
Well, you've never.
Today was really hard.
Yeah. Well, you've never skated. You can't expect to show up day one and be just gracefully zooming around the track.
That's sort of what I was hoping was going to happen.
No.
And it didn't. And I may have cried a little bit.
That's okay.
But that's also because I am just an anxious little ball. Okay. But it's really cool because everybody's super supportive and
Well, I can't imagine they'd get people to sign up if, you tried to skate and they were like, what the fuck, you idiot, get out of here.
Immediately trips you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was one thing that was pretty fun because there was a portion of the practice where we took off our skates and we practiced hitting, doing the slams into one another just on our regular feet, not on skates. Mm-hmm. And apparently I'm good at counter blocking and I'm very stable. So that,
I don't know what that means.
Me either, but that was a compliment that I received. Okay. So I'll take that. I guess I'm sturdy.
Well, so then if you got that going for you, then all you have to do is learn to skate. And that's it.
That's not the biggest part of it at all.
No. No. Maybe they can do an exception where each team can have one person who's just in shoes.
One person. There. I'm just, I'll glide around.
Metal cleats.
Yeah.
Out there. Everyone else has to be on wheels, but you get 3-inch metal cleats.
Just stomping.
And you're allowed to just absolutely kick someone's calf
That would be illegal.
Skate fine. Not if they make a rule for it.
Not if they make an exception.
Does it say it explicitly in the rules? Because if not, I'm gonna airbud them. It doesn't say a dog can't play basketball.
Can you imagine our dog Summer on roller skates?
No, I can't imagine her in just those little doggy shoes.
The little dog boots.
She hates every Halloween we buy one little costume for her. and we put her in it. We walk her in the yard for approximately 5 to 10 minutes.
Photos.
We take all the pictures we're going to get for the season, and then we take it off of her immediately because she is miserable from the second you try to put the thing on her.
She makes me feel so bad.
She will like just stop and then just do that thing, you know, when like a dog just kind of like stops and then just looks up at you.
Yeah,
and
they kind of look like hunched over.
Why are you doing this to me? Kind of a thing.
Do you not love me anymore?
That's her entire. She thinks she's being punished, and she's not. She looks adorable in it, but she just does not like the costumes.
Yeah.
So she's more of a bandana dog. If we put like a bandana on her leash. Anyway.
Definitely.
But
anyway, I'm sore and I'm trying my best.
And you're doing great.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll keep you all updated on my derby adventures. Maybe saying it here will prevent me from getting overwhelmed and quitting after a week. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah,
you'll get better. It's you know, it's there's the saying, it's not about how many times you fall,
but how many times you get up.
Yeah, it's about how you pick yourself back up.
Yeah,
again,
nailed it.
Something, you know, somebody said that. Philosophers, Albert Einstein.
I'm gonna get better at falling because that is a skill in derby.
I was gonna say, like, there is. I think even because we went and saw the local derby team.
Yeah.
Shout out the with Athens roller.
It's Classic City Roller Derby.
Classic City Roller Derby. We went and saw them, and they're really cool. And we went and saw them before you had signed up for the boot camp. Mm-hmm. I think you were already interested in doing it, but then this was kind of
I've got a couple friends who do derby.
Yeah, so. But then we went and saw, and like I didn't really know what was going on, but you know, you get a team out there, you can just cheer for them. We lost, but it's okay.
Yeah,
it was still really entertaining to watch.
Let me in there with my 3-inch metal cleats, and
that's what I'm saying. We would have turned that around.
Yeah,
but anyway, get a dog in there in 3-inch metal cleats.
But it is interesting to watch. It's fun.
It is, but no, I was gonna say that like even the really like the skaters who've been doing it for like a long time, like they fall all the time.
Well, because you're literally slamming into
we were
each
watching
other.
And it was in between what is a
jams.
Jam, yeah.
A jam is like a round.
I'm gonna get the terminology down.
Yeah.
At some point. But in between the jams, they had the refs on the skates and everything, and there was one of the refs, and they absolutely ate shit. I don't know if you remember this or not, but he straight up was like, it was like the cart. He was like, whoa, 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 and fell backwards on his ass. Like it was really funny.
That was my first fall today. Was that exact thing?
And that's okay. But my point is like they do it. Everyone's going to do it. Yeah. You know, it doesn't matter how long you skate for.
They were trying to teach us how to fall safely because it's better. Like your natural instinct when you're on skates is to like straighten up a lot when you start to feel that you're out of balance, but you actually want to do the opposite and you want to like bend your knees and kind of lean forward because it's safer to fall forward.
You got to remember the improv. Get loose.
Get loose.
You gotta get loose.
Yep.
Get loose out there. Let's stiffen up.
Yep. So I'm sure that'll come with practice too. It'll start to be second nature to fall forward instead of on my tailbone. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I got going on. So my body hurts. I have many bruises. And it's only day one.
And that's okay. You'll get more bruises. And you'll fall more. And then you'll get up and you'll skate more.
Yep. Hopefully.
But other than that, we're in the middle of, we're I guess coming to the end of False Fall now. Mm-hmm. It was nice. Last night when I was working, I was outside for a little bit, and it just felt good.
Oh yeah, and like this morning when I got up and was walking the dog, it was literally like there was a little bit of a chill in the air, and I loved it.
We were walking the dog the other day, and it was pleasant in the sunlight, like it was kind of warm or whatever, but there was a very slight breeze. But then we have a tree in our front yard, and when we went into the shade, it was just like noticeable difference in temperature.
Yes,
and it was like I could literally sit in this all day.
Heavenly.
It was so nice.
I am so built for fall.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it to happen. But next week we're gonna have temperatures back in the 90s.
God damn it!
It's false. Yeah. So don't get too attached. Don't get too attached. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Is there like a reverse groundhog for like fall? Because like we have the one that tells us when spring.
Oh, if it's gonna be like 4 more weeks of summer.
There's like a groundhog. Whatever. Yeah, is it like the same groundhog, but like he sticks his ass out of the hole, and then they're like, I don't know what they would tell by that, because the groundhog couldn't see a shadow in that way. Maybe if he feels like a little nip in the air and he's like, oh, fall's coming early this year.
Yeah. There's a slight freeze on my groundhog grundle.
Yeah.
Which is how you know it's fall time.
On my groundhog butthole.
Butthole.
It's a scientific term for it.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, but
he still puts on the full little tuxedo.
He should, because that's the best part.
We don't get to see it because it's
just ass out.
It's ass out for fall.
That's how I feel about it.
As they say,
ass out for fall.
We just drop the song of the summer. Speaking of fall, this is actually we have some pretty big news, pretty exciting news that we've been kind of working behind the scenes. We're still working on some details of this, so we'll continue to update as we get a little bit more information. But I wanted to get this out now so we could start spreading the word about it. Coming up on October 30th, it's a Wednesday, the day before Halloween, we are doing our first live show of the podcast at Authentic Brewing.
Yep. Authentic Brewing Company in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah. Looking at screening a movie.
And we're going to screen kind of a mystery horror movie.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we're going to record an episode live.
Yeah. So if you are interested in that, you can reach out to us via our emails. We'll go over this at the end of the show too.
Yeah,
with all of our stuff.
And we'll be, as it gets a little bit closer, we'll also be putting some stuff up on social media that has more of the details. But we just wanted to let y'all know about it now, so you can kind of
you
put
can
it on your calendar.
You can set it. Yeah. From what I understand right now, the movie screening is going to start at 7. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be like a really long movie. We're looking at like an hour and a half movie because it's in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
So people gotta go home.
Yeah. Me included.
Yeah. But we're looking at like a nice little movie, and then we're gonna do a live recording of the podcast where we, the format that we normally do, where we talk about it and everything, and just have some fun. Drink some beer.
Some good beer.
Or slushes.
Mm-hmm.
Or hard seltzer.
Yep. They have multiple options.
Maybe eat a pretzel.
Yeah,
it'll be prime pretzel season
time
at that point.
Yeah.
So anyway, mark your calendars.
October 30th.
October 30th, Authentic Brewing Company in Athens, Georgia. If you want to come out and support us, just kind of wanted to put that out there.
Yay.
Let's get into the movie.
The movie
that we watched. Child's Play. I always want to call it Chucky. I think a lot of people kind of fall into that trap of calling it Chucky the movie, but it's not about the Rugrats character. It is about a different redhead. Tommy.
That's not what Chucky sounds like.
Neither of us did what Chucky sounds like. In my head I can hear it, but I don't think
Mine
I
is
have
closer.
enough. Melville. What was that?
Do you remember that episode where Chucky befriends a little roly-poly named Melville?
Why would I remember that?
I loved Rugrats growing up.
I thought it was
that was my shit.
I liked the theme song. Ba, ba,
we can't do it.
Oh, yeah.
This is copywritten.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn it. Damn you, Nickelodeon.
Just pause and pop that in
Go
YouTube.
on YouTube really quick. Look up Rugrats theme song.
And then go back.
Come back really quick.
We're headbanging to that right now.
Yeah, play it. Imagine us
headbanging.
Singing along.
Yeah, but I can't do Chucky either. Is what I'm saying.
I'm Chucky. Hey guys. It's me, your favorite Rugrat, Chucky. Tommy. Help. I'm gonna grow up to be a hypochondriac, I'm pretty sure, because I'm anxious and I'm literally like a baby.
He's so me.
I'm having an existential crisis.
Yeah.
And I just gained sentience.
My boy Chucky definitely had like undiagnosed obsessive compulsive disorder, and he's an icon.
Chucky, like, how old were the Rugrats supposed to be?
Babies, toddlers.
Chucky had glasses.
Babies get glasses.
Yeah, I know, but like...
Well, Chucky's a little bit older than Tommy is.
Oh, man. That's rough. That's right. He's still hanging out with babies, huh?
It's not like he's 9.
Yeah, but how much older?
I mean, he's like maybe 2 when Tommy's like 1. Like you're all in the same category.
Rough childhood.
Don't say anything about Chucky. That's my comfort character.
Rough childhood for Chucky. Tommy's the best. He's
No.
the leader of the gang.
Yeah.
He hates his younger brother until later, and then he loves him.
Yeah.
Because he thinks he's being replaced by like a body snatcher.
He's a bald icon.
Yeah.
Never has pants on.
Never has. He's Donald Ducking it constantly.
Constantly. And his diaper is sort of like Mary Poppins' bag.
Yeah,
too.
he just reaches in there and he's got
a screwdriver, you know? It's just in there.
He's got whatever he needs in there.
Yeah.
We're busting out of this joint.
He said that more than once.
Pulled out a lockpicking set.
Anyway, when did this become the Rugrats podcast? Do you want to do that as a spin-off?
Because on this show, we will do anything but talk about the movie that we said we were going to watch.
I know people are so sick of our shit.
And we've never, and like, I want to be clear, we have not like gone out of the way to watch Rugrats recently. So like, this isn't like a thing.
It's just always on my mind.
Just straight off the dome,
yeah.
You know? There's Tommy, Chucky, Lil and Phil.
Angelica.
Reptar's the honorary one. What was his brother? What was Tommy's brother's name?
Dill,
that's right.
Yeah, Dill Pickles.
That's fucked up.
It is kind of wild that it's like you have Tommy and then we go hard into the theming with Dill. Like imagine being Dill and your brother got the normal name.
I'm just now remembering, didn't they do like a
Rugrats All Grown Up?
Yeah, where they were like
teens
in like high school or something like that, and they were like dealing with like
peer pressure and
was
bullying.
Tommy bald in that, or did he have hair?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I think this might be like a weird Mandela effect because I'm imagining him bald, but I feel like he had hair.
I'm imagining literally Tommy Pickles' baby face.
Me too.
On teenager body.
Hold on, I'm gonna look him up. Oh, he has hair.
Okay.
And he has purple hair like his dad.
Yeah. Okay.
He's got kind of a flat top.
That's right. And I remember now. He's got pants on too.
He's got pants
Probably
on.
a good decision.
They wouldn't let him go to school.
No. I think Chucky wore like cargo shorts exclusively, I think was the thing. He had like a unbuttoned flannel and white t-shirt or something. And then cargo shorts.
Yeah, it's the best.
I think, was it Lil or Phil was like a skater now? Maybe they both were. They were like real punk, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, and you have Angelica looking like Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah.
With
anyway,
clogs.
Okay. Anyway, that's enough of a deep dive onto that.
So we were talking about Child's Play.
Child's Play, the 1988
supernatural slasher horror film.
Yeah.
It was directed by Tom Holland, no relation to...
Yeah. No, it was funny because like it popped up on the screen as like directed by Tom Holland or whatever, and I was like, Tom Holland, and you were like, yeah, this is early work.
Yep. Before he'd really become a household name, he was doing this. Directed by Tom Holland, who also co-wrote the movie with Don Mancini and John Lafia, I think is how you say that. Lafia. Mm-hmm. It is a supernatural slasher, so definitely in the slasher category, but not just like guy with knife, you know.
Yeah.
Some pretty famous people in here. Obviously, Brad Dourif plays, he plays Charles Lee Ray, and then he does the voice for Chucky.
Yeah.
You might know him from great movies such as The Lord of the Rings, where he played Wormtongue.
That guy's, like, he's really good at playing weird little guys.
Weird little guy. He's a weird little guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can't really picture anyone else's Wormtongue.
No, he's perfect. Love him. Okay, so we have him. We have Catherine Hicks as Karen Barclay. You might know her from the 90s sitcom Seventh Heaven. That's how I knew her.
I didn't. Never saw it.
We have Alex Vincent playing Karen's son, Andy Barclay. And then we have Chris Sarandon playing Detective Mike Norris. You might know him from Fright Night or The Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah.
He's Prince Humperdinck.
He is.
Yeah.
That's why I recognized him.
Yep. That's kind of our main
it's
cast.
A fun little treat for me.
Yeah.
when you list off this stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, I did recognize that guy.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of our main cast. There are a few other more minor characters. Like, for example, we have Dina Manoff playing Maggie Peterson, who is Karen's friend and kind of like a babysitter for Andy.
Yeah.
So we do have some other ones. What?
Rip Maggie.
Rip. Spoilers. Spoilers for this movie from 1988. And the basic idea of this one, I feel like this is one of those ones that even if you haven't seen it, like, you know who Chucky is.
I don't even, it is such good, I want to say it's like such a good movie, like, it's just, like, evident. Like, the story is just kind of, like, easy to parse. It's a doll possessed by somebody.
The spirit of a serial killer.
Yeah.
Charles Lee Ray.
And he kills people. And, like, that's it.
Yep. And in the first movie, the kind of main, like, tension or, like, Chucky's motivation is that he learns that he has to change from the doll vessel to a human vessel within a certain amount of time. Otherwise, he will be stuck permanently in the doll body, and the doll body will become, like, it'll lose the invulnerability where, like, he's becoming more human. So he's trying to get into a body, basically.
Yeah. And it has to be the first person he revealed his true self to, which
was an 8-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. Yeah, the opening of it is so strong because we start out kind of at like what feels like it should be the end of a movie where there's like a police chase and they're all like, oh, that's the Southside Strangler, get him.
No, they don't even say the Southside Strangler. He runs out of the alley and he says, he's yelling to his partner like over the radio and he's like, I got the Strangler right here. Wait. Yep. He's just the Strangler.
The Strangler, yeah. But, there's this whole, like, foot chase, and then it ends up in a toy store, and Prince Humperdinck is, like, looking around the corner with his gun.
Yeah.
He knows, like, he's been shot twice, and he knows that the jig is up.
Charles Lee Ray has been shot twice, not Prince Humperdinck.
Yes. He's been shot twice. He knows he's caught. He can't really get out of it. So he decides to use some voodoo magic.
Yeah.
And transfer his soul into a good guy doll, which is a, fictional toy property for Child's Play. But it's just like a little, actually not that little, it's kind of a big doll.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's in universe supposed to be like based on a show, and it's very much like super friendly, and the whole thing is like, we'll be besties with the kids that are lonely and stuff.
It's like a humanized Furby almost.
What?
Like that it talks.
Do you think only Furbies did that?
Yeah. And they shouldn't have.
Yeah, the doll's supposed to be able to say, like, I think they said like 4 phrases or something.
3 phrases.
3, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's, hi, I'm whatever the name is.
Of the doll is.
And then something about a hug.
Yeah. And then like we'll be friends.
We'll be friends till the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the hit toy. It's the Tickle Me Elmo of 1988.
Yeah,
Chicago.
This is the big hit thing. Andy is obsessed with good guy stuff.
Yes.
Like when we first meet him, he's watching the show.
He's watching the show.
He runs in because the show starts, and then he like sees like the plot of it, and he's like, I've seen this one.
Yeah, he's in the pajamas, the good guy pajamas,
and he makes his mom breakfast in bed, which
even though it's his birthday.
Yeah, it's his birthday. Well, see, he's doing it because he's trying to like
move her along.
Yeah,
hey, mom, she's
get
sleeping
up.
in.
Get up. It's time to open presents.
Present time.
Sleep later.
He does a horrible job making breakfast, by the way. Like, I know he's an 8-year-old child, but like at a certain point, I feel like.
Yeah, he burns some toast.
Can I say that an 8-year-old boy is engaging in weaponized incompetence? Like,
I think it was sweet. It was a bad job, but it was sweet.
Okay.
What he was trying to do.
I don't think it was.
I mean, it created a huge mess.
A huge mess.
You would be.
He got milk everywhere.
Kind of pissed, being like, I gotta clean this shit up.
He literally, like, he practically stuck his hand into the butter tub and just
like a
scooped out like a snowball to plop.
And threw it on one
Didn't
piece
even
of
spread
toast.
it
No.
on the toast.
He did like
feels like there was
3
no
or
effort,
4
you know?
spoons of sugar into cereal. But see, he was making stuff that like he likes. The cereal was
Does he
want
to eat toast with a big hunk of butter on it like that?
Because that's what he thinks. He thinks his mom does.
Okay.
He's replicating like what his mom does.
Yeah.
I get
Just
it.
doing it in a bad way.
Media literacy is dead in this country.
Meanwhile, I'm over here like another white man.
One thing I wanted to say about like the opening thing with Charles Lee Ray and Detective Humperdinck.
His name is Mike.
Not anymore. They're doing like the little foot chase thing, and before Charles goes into the toy store, there's a scene where they're like on the same sidewalk, and like Charles is like ducked into this little like alcove thing where the door to the toy store is, and then Humperdinck is on the corner. They do this shot so you can kind of see both of them, but they're doing that thing where like they like lean out and back in to like see where the other one is, but they're doing it like opposite times.
Yes.
It's very funny.
It's very funny.
And then the whole scene where they're in the toy store was like honestly very humorous to me because there's like no way this toy store is that big.
It's small, but Detective Humperdinck is acting like...
It's also like non-Euclidean because like the inside of the store doesn't make any sense. But like when they finally get inside of it, Charles is like walking around in there. He's like
he's been shot. He's stumbling around.
But like he's like knocking over displays and stuff, and he's like screaming. Mike Humperdinck is...
He's now Mike Humperdinck.
Detective Mike Humperdinck is on the case. He's like walking around with his gun out, and he's like trying to like stalk him through this place. But like every time they show him, he's just like looking around, like he could be around any corner. Yeah, and it looks like he's like kind of moving through the toy store, but he's also not. He's like in one spot and he's completely lost as to where Charles might be in there.
No ability to echolocate.
No, it was so funny. Yeah. And then he finally finds him like after Charles has completed this voodoo ritual to transfer his soul, and that big explosion happens. But anyway,
lightning strikes through the glass dome ceiling. Very dramatic.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, but
yeah. So that's how Chucky became Chucky.
Yeah, and then how he gets into Andy's life is, so we mentioned it's his birthday. His mom does maybe the meanest prank, and see, this is why, like, I think what Andy did was sweet. What the mom did was actually kind of fucked up.
I feel like it was unintentional, but yeah.
I guess, but it just, like, no one
because
would do this.
She even said, like, are you sure you don't want to open the small one first? So, like...
But either way, that's going to be disappointing. Doing that would actually be meaner. Because, what I'm talking about is Andy can see these, like, 2 birthday presents that his mom has gotten.
One's a big rectangle.
And there's this big rectangle one, and you're supposed to be like, that's the good guy doll.
That's the good guy
That's
doll.
what Andy thinks it is. That's, he's super excited. So he gives her the breakfast in bed. She's like, I'm going to eat this later. He's like, cool, let me open my presents. She's like, yeah, we can do that. And so he goes out, he grabs the big one, and she's like, are you sure you don't want to open the small one first? And he's like, no, I want to do this one. And he opens it, and it's not a good guy doll. She then opens the box that's in there, and it's just like a plain white box or whatever. Yep. And she pulls out, jeans. I'm going to assume there's more than just that pair of jeans in there.
I think it was a lot of clothes.
But she pulls out one pair of jeans, and she says, you really need these clothes. Which was really funny because it makes me think, Andy only has the good guy pajamas.
I mean, he pretty much
basically is
only wears
wearing that
that for
anyway.
the first half of the movie.
But she does that. Who packages them like that?
I don't
So the
know.
only reason you would do that is to make him think you got him a good guy doll, which is just going to set him up to be really disappointed.
Yes.
And then to point out what you're trying to say is like, if she had gotten him to open the first one first, the little one first, the little present is like a little like
it's
tool
like an
set,
accessory, basically.
an accessory set to go with the good guy doll.
Yeah.
So if he had opened that first, he would have been like, oh, this
I
is hype as hell.
definitely got
I'm
it."
definitely getting the good guy doll. And then he opens it and it's just fucking pants. And he's gonna be like, Mom, I hate you. This is why
And
Dad
she's
died.
And Mom is like, learn how to fucking make toast, and then I'll get you a nice birthday present, you little asshole.
So anyway, this movie's about a dysfunctional family
Yeah,
that
horribly
hates
abusive.
that ends up coming together in the end.
Yes.
Overcoming
Chucky
their
is their
problems.
new dad
Yeah.
who brings them all together. But anyway,
I
all that
gotta
said,
see that edit. Somebody's gotta put that edit together.
it's like an odd family,
yeah,
kinda odd couple
they
situation.
like kind of take some of the quotes of Chucky out of context and
Yeah.
make it actually sound kind of nice.
Yeah. But he does eventually get the good guy doll because we get the all the storytelling is suggesting that like she's the single mom now. She's struggling financially. She works at like a department store and doesn't make
Like
a
a
lot of money.
jewelry store thing, but she doesn't make a ton of money.
Yeah, and she feels really bad about not getting the good guy doll for him, but, she just can't afford it, basically. Yeah. And her friend, Maggie, Maggie, was this...
Pouring out for Maggie.
Yeah, right onto the floor. Basically gives her this heads up when she's at work. Hey, there's this, weirdo guy in the alley who's got a doll.
This is another scene that I think is just really funny, the way that they did it, because... This is like an hour and a half long movie, which is great.
Yeah.
I do think sometimes when you have movies like that, in order to like keep it in that tight hour and a half, you have to condense some of your story things to like
yes.
really explaining some shit so like people can understand why the motivations for these characters to do things. Because you're like, well, the doll can't be that expensive. But when Maggie is coming to her in the store and she's like, hey, you know that good guy doll that Andy wanted?
The
And she's
one
like,
that costs $100?
Like
Yeah.
it's that trope of like very explicitly and specifically explaining every minute detail and then the character being like, yeah.
Yeah, I know of
Yeah, I've heard of it. But she runs up and she's like, you know that good guy doll, the one that cost $100 and that there's no way you could normally afford? There's a weird homeless man out back and he's got one.
He's got one.
And then she's like, for how much? And she's like, $50. And I looked this up, and so at full price, the doll would have been like in 1988, the $100 would have been like $260.
This is an expensive ass
It was
doll.
expensive. It's like kind of robotic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for the time it was more
it's a
cutting
big Furby.
edge.
It's
nothing like that.
Imagine a Furby, but bigger,
And
human shaped,
hairless,
and hairless except for hair
The
on
top
like
of
normal
your
head.
head.
So like every part of a Furby except for all the parts that make it a Furby.
Yeah.
There's no beak.
There's no weird little teardrop body.
I will say the thing they do have in common, no matter what you do to it, you can't kill it. So
Yep, that's true.
seems to operate like on magic. Anyway, but she goes to this peddler and it's supposed to be like $50, and then they haggle a little bit
because he's trying to like get her to do more and whatever.
And so she ends up paying him like 30 or $50.
I think they meet in the middle at like 35 or something.
She's just happy to get the doll, so she gets it, and then she brings it home, and Andy's like, "What's that?" And it's this big brown thing.
He doesn't even say what's that. They come in. She has this thing wrapped in brown
like
paper grocery bags, basically, and he's still all like kind of bummed out and stuff. And then she initiates it by saying, "Hey, this isn't groceries."
Yeah, Andy, you're right. Andy didn't even ask what it was, or anything about it.
She was just like, no, those are groceries. That weird log of groceries that you get at the store.
See, and then this makes me think it is normalized for her to just box everything in packages they wouldn't normally come in.
See, he was fine with it.
She goes to the Kroger and she's like, "Can you put it in
like a big wide
kind
box?
Of a cumbersome box that would be really difficult for me to carry up 6 floors.
I'm gonna have to take it on the train, so I want it to be as like difficult downtown to use as possible.
Yeah, like I don't want this to be wieldy for me. And I really like it to inconvenience as many people as possible as I carry it. Anyway,
all that to say, he opens the good guy doll and he's thrilled.
Yeah, he gets the good guy doll.
You know, it's his new best friend.
Yeah.
He does seem a little friendless. There's kind of
Andy's a loser.
He yeah. He seems like they don't outright say it, but like all of the language around the good guy doll is like we'll be friends with you even if no one else will.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn.
That's literally the opening cartoon thing that Andy is watching. Is there's like a kid outside of a school or something like that, and he's like, "Oh, I don't have any friends." And then a good guy doll shows up in a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And is like, "I'll be your friend even if no one else will." And I'm like, the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think like also to kind of point to this, it sounds like a joke saying Andy's a loser. It is his birthday and they don't talk about throwing him a party.
No.
Any people coming over.
No.
Nothing. All he wants is this good guy doll and like that's it. So like Andy does not have friends.
He doesn't have friends.
He really wants this doll to be his friend.
And he's immediately so enamored with it. He takes it out of the box. He's immediately like getting it to say all its phrases and he's so happy.
Yeah. And then, so part of this whole thing is the mom had to, when she went out to go get the doll, I guess her boss was like, noticed she was gone.
Yeah, and he seems like kind of a hard ass.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk. And so he basically makes it so she has to like work extra like on the weekend or something like that. So anyway, Maggie ends up having to babysit Andy. And this is where we get like Chucky starts doing Chucky things. Yeah. There's like a news report about the driver that was like supposed to be the getaway driver.
Right, for Charles Lee Ray.
For Charles Lee Ray, and he left Charles to die. His name was
Eddie Caputo.
Yeah, Eddie Caputo. And that whole opening thing is just so weird. He's the Strangler, and he's like this, I guess, prolific serial killer, enough to have like a nickname.
Yeah. But
he doesn't work alone.
Because he also has a getaway driver
who was like ready to take him, but then just abandoned his ass. Charles was dressed up in like a suit, and it had like a tie clip in there. I don't know if you noticed. Yeah. He was like pretty well dressed. So like, what was he doing?
I don't know.
Was he coming from a strangling, going to a strangling?
That's what I was wondering.
Was he just like hanging out?
Like.
I don't know, but then like you would think it would have to be like he was about to commit a crime, because then otherwise what's Eddie Caputo doing there?
Right.
So he has to have been like mid-strangle or about to be there or something like that. In which case, how did the cops get clued into this?
I don't know.
Was it like a sting operation?
Maybe it was. Like they sent out their cop with the nicest, most strangleable neck. They had him walk out, neck exposed.
Mike Humperdinck was dressed as a lady in a dark alley, and he's like, "Oh, I sure hope no one strangles me.
Oh, my neck is so delicate and strangleable."
and Eddie and Charles are driving by, and Charles is like, "Wait, did you hear that?
Whoa, this broad's got a strangleable neck. Pull
over! I got a strangling to do." And he walks right into the trap.
Idiot.
What a fool.
Oh my god.
Also, I gotta say, they call him the Strangler. Surprisingly few stranglings happen in this movie.
Too little.
Yeah, but he also routinely jumps on people and knocks them to the ground because they can't wrestle him off. And I'm like, this dude weighs like 2 pounds at most.
He's dense.
he's filled with stuffing.
Well, he becomes more human as he goes along. Remember, he starts bleeding.
Yeah, but stuffing still comes out of it.
Oh, I don't know.
And also an 8-year-old is able to drag him around by his arm and like lift him up and everything. He can't be that heavy.
He's just, it's like, He's strong like the way that like a newborn baby is kind of strong.
Oh yeah,
where like
he's got that
they, like,
baby strength.
Like grips your finger.
He's gonna
really
break your
hard.
finger
You're like,
off.
holy shit.
Give me more mashed peas, or your pinky's done.
That's Chucky.
Yeah, that's the movie. If you, that's the last scene.
Yeah, but anyway, to get back to it, when Maggie is babysitting Andy, that's when we first kind of get these clues that something ain't right.
Yeah.
Initially it's sort of ambiguous because we see Andy like whispering with the doll and then like putting his ear up to, you know, the doll's mouth and then seemingly to be hearing something, you know. And originally you're just kind of like, oh, he's just like is imaginary play and, you know, he's just having fun.
Yeah, because like he does this and then he's like, oh, Chuck, he goes to Maggie and he's like, Chucky wants to watch the 9 p.m. news.
And she's like, sure he does.
Now go brush your teeth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so she puts him to bed. And some weird stuff starts to happen, like she hears something, or the TV cuts back on because she turns the TV off, and then she looks back in there, and Chucky's sitting in one of the chairs watching the TV. And she assumes
that he had brought...
That Andy just put him there. Because, like, that's what you would assume. And I will say, I kind of praise this movie for this, that, like, a lot of... Every one of the characters, the adult characters, goes through the, like, there's no fucking way
this is real.
This is really happening.
And then they get their ass beat.
Yeah, and then they get, like, nearly killed or killed by Chucky. But eventually she puts them to bed, and then in the night she's, like, reading a book, and then Chucky gets up and he, like, knocks over some flour or something.
He kind of does this whole, like, there's kind of this fun little cat and mouse thing where he's like scurrying by in the corner of her eye and then like making a little noise over here, but by the time she goes over there to investigate it, he's gone.
Yeah.
And so you're sort of like, well, is it Andy? Is it Chucky? You know,
what's going on? At the end of this scene, she's like going to sweep up the flour, and she does it in like, I guess I kind of get it, because it's like one of those separate little like handheld dustpans, and she's like on the ground trying to sweep up the flour.
Yeah.
And I've done that before too, but I'm also just like sweep all the flour into one pile instead of like how she was trying to do it. Anyway, but then she like hears a noise and she like lifts a plant thing out of the way, and then there's nothing behind it, so I don't know what made the noise behind the plant thing, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Maybe it was a mouse.
Sure.
Downtown Chicago or something.
Whatever, it's fine.
But then she turns around and she has this like kind of surprised, shocked look on her face, and then a little hammer,
a little tiny toy hammer,
smacks her in the eye, and then she goes like ah, and then falls out the window.
Yeah, she falls backward, and she's dead.
Yeah.
Ain't no way you're surviving that.
Yeah. Mom comes home and the police are like crawling all over the apartment, and she's like, what the fuck? Yeah. And they explain that Maggie died.
And there's kind of an implication that Detective Humperdinck thinks that Andy must have done it, which makes sense, obviously, because like in his mind, Andy's the only other person in the apartment.
There's no signs of a break-in.
Yeah.
There are these footprints in the flour on top of the counter,
which match both Chucky's shoes, but then also Andy's like good guy pajamas. Like he has the little
there's a distinctive
pajamas.
Like soul pattern on there where there's like a gun, a cowboy hat, whatever, a boot or whatever, on the bottom of the thing, and those are in the flour. But then when they look at Andy's shoes, there's no flour on it, and then Andy's like going to bed again, and he looks at Chucky's shoes and he sees flour on the bottom of Chucky's shoes. So, but again, all of this is like nobody believes that a doll did this because it wouldn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
So they think Andy did it, and then we get to another thing where like this all happens like over the weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
Or some, I think that's right. And then Andy's supposed to go back to school, and he takes Chucky with him to go back to school. And he walks into the building, and then his mom leaves because she's dropping him off. And he comes back out holding Chucky, and then he proceeds to go on like a magical adventure through downtown Chicago.
You gotta love the 80s.
Yeah.
Ain't no single adult even slightly
concerned. Nobody even like glanced at it being
like, that's normal.
Yeah, they were like, whatever.
He takes the L like all the way around Chicago.
Yeah.
And eventually gets to like this really rundown part of town that has like a lot of like abandoned and like condemned buildings and stuff. And the whole time he's kind of doing that thing again where he's like whispering to Chucky, and then Chucky is, I guess it's implied that he's whispering back, but we haven't heard him talk yet. So Chucky has led him to this house where Eddie Caputo stays.
Yeah. Chucky orchestrates a thing, like, by
yes.
turning the gas on in the stove, but then, like, blowing the pilot light out so the gas builds up, and then Eddie ends up firing a gun, and it blows the whole house up.
Yeah. Killing him.
Yeah, and the police end up, I guess, very quickly IDing that was Eddie Caputo, even though they had already picked him up prior, but he like escaped from
it was
a prison transport or something like that. So he was like in hiding, but then they also figured out that had to have been his like burned and disfigured corpse.
I guess
inside there really quickly. But then they because Andy was there, they picked him up, and now it really looks like Andy's like, going around killing people.
Yeah.
So they put him.
Andy pushed his little aunt out the window, and now he's blowing up houses.
Yeah.
So they're immediately like, maybe we should, put him away.
Yeah.
So he's like, he literally gets taken to the
a psychiatric hospital.
Psychiatric facility. He's being held.
Yeah.
And his mom is immediately like, I've got to find proof that he didn't do this so that I can get my kid out.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't believe that Chucky is real, but she also doesn't believe that her child
is a murderer
and would do any of this, and there's been no signs of that.
Yeah. So eventually, like, she goes back home, and she's kind of just like, all right, talk, you little bastard.
Yeah, and she brings Chucky
obviously
back.
Chucky's not talking or whatever, but then she goes to see the box. She sees the box in, like, the kitchen still.
She goes to throw it away.
And when she picks it up, the batteries fall out of the box.
Dun, dun,
and then she's like, what? And she does this whole thing where she flips over Chucky and, like,
the batteries aren't in there.
Slot, and the batteries and the head turns around. She's like, you want to play a game or whatever? And she drops him, and then she threatens to throw him in the fire, and this is when we finally get the reveal that Chucky is in fact alive. Because he's like, you crazy bitch! Yeah,
and he starts talking from that point. He has some choice words for the mom from Seventh Heaven.
Yeah. I'm gonna strangle ya!
Strangler time!
I'm gonna finish what I started in that alley.
My favorite part of Child's Play is when Chucky says, "It's strangling time." And starts a strangling. But there's a prolonged like fight scene where she's getting all fucked up around this apartment.
Yeah.
And Chucky eventually like gets away from her, and he just like, instead of finishing her off, which is, I feel like that's more what he would do.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm fleeing. I'm leaving the apartment now.
Yeah, he runs.
And he just toddles away on his little short legs. Yeah. Short king.
He gets out of it. There is a thing in this movie, and I don't know about any other Child's Play. I've only ever seen one other Child's Play movie, and it was from 2017. It's called Cult of Chucky or whatever. It's
way into it.
Way in the future. The only thing I remember some things from it. The main thing I remember is like right from the beginning, Andy is all grown up and he's like living in a cabin outside the city, and he has Chucky's head like in a wall safe.
Yeah,
and, it's, like, all
and that
up.
is the same actor grown up. Mm-hmm.
That's like the only thing I remember. From that movie. But anyway, there's this thing in this movie in particular that when people are like roughhousing and fighting Chucky, they seem to do this thing where instead of doing anything to like hold him down, and again, he is just a doll, like he does not have weapons just built into him or anything. He can bite them, of course, whatever.
He can bite them, and he does.
But people just like, they grab him and then they just like throw him across a room, and every single time this happens, when Chucky like lands on the ground, he perfectly rolls under something
and immediately skitters
away. And I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah, fucking sit on this guy.
Yeah. Just like, you know what I mean? Like, what is he gonna do?
It's like these people didn't have younger siblings. Pin him down
with one hand and just like start wailing on him.
Yeah,
I understand like at the beginning, because he's kind of involved, he can't be hurt, right? Because he's more doll than he is anything else. So I get that. But like towards the end of the movie, when he definitely can be hurt,
right?
Because he gets shot and he's like bleeding and stuff.
Yeah.
Then I'm just like, wail on his ass.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But from that point, she's obviously like, okay, so Chucky is actually alive, and now her mission is that she needs to find proof of Chucky being alive, because that clears Andy's name.
Yeah.
So she immediately goes to Mike Humperdinck, and he doesn't believe her, of course. It's the same thing where he's like, you're crazy, lady, and so is your son.
Whoa, calm down, doll.
You're being hysterical.
You're being hysterical.
You look real strangleable right now.
I was dressed up in that alley and had a strangleable neck. I was there when Charles was killed because I killed him. I didn't let him strangle me.
Yeah, and for some reason she says, why wouldn't you tell me? And it's like, I didn't know you guys knew each other. Why would he tell you?
Why would he tell you?
Just the first time he meets a witness to a crime, he's just supposed to be like, hey,
he casually,
Mike Norris, I killed Charles Lee Ray.
I killed Charles Lee Ray. Maybe you heard of me.
But
I was voted Chicago Magazine's #1 strangleable neck. 1988.
Oh man. But he doesn't really believe her.
No.
But he ends up kind of getting roped in because she's like, I'm gonna find Chucky. I'm gonna go to like this part of town to find like the guy who sold me the doll and all this stuff. And he's basically like, listen, lady, you're gonna get yourself killed.
Yeah.
And he's kind of right.
Yeah. They end up like teaming up.
Yeah, they start teaming up.
It's after she confronts the peddler again, who says that he got the doll in this burned out toy store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did you get that?
I don't know.
That would have definitely been a crime scene. I mean, like, obviously people sneak into crime scenes and stuff, so
Sure.
It's not like impossible. But like, it was the
Maybe
doll
in the
he was literally
explosion.
touching. You would think they would have collected that for like evidence.
Well,
or something.
maybe Chucky made it so that, he skittered away, replaced it with a different box.
Maybe. Anyway, regardless, she confronts him. He drops this thing about the toy store. Then Humperdinck he kind of looks like, oh shit, maybe this is real. So, but
Yeah.
he's not saying that out loud. He goes and gets a case file, and then he has a confrontation with Chucky.
And this is the only time we get some strangling.
Yeah, and he doesn't successfully do it.
Mm-mm.
Which I'm like, then how did he get the nickname? He doesn't do a lot of
He does
strangling,
the
and the one that we
classic,
see him do, is unsuccessful.
He's in the back seat behind the driver's seat, and he
Yeah.
does the thing with like the cord, and he's got it
Yeah.
pulled. And it is working, I guess, but he's able to like get some grip on the cord so that it doesn't fully strangle him. And I just want to say, I don't know what the fuck this guy was thinking, but if somebody starts strangling you in the back seat, hit the brakes, babe.
Yeah.
Hit the
Yeah,
brakes.
Chucky's not wearing a seatbelt.
Throw the security brake on.
Do that e-brake.
And just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Because he's like driving all through Chicago, like
He's,
running
like, gunning
into
it.
shit.
Yeah.
And like nearly killing people. And I'm like, dude, just stop. Literally, your foot, put it one over to the left, and then push down.
They were trying to act like he was being strangled so severely that he was like being pulled back to where he couldn't reach the pedals anymore. And I'm like,
no,
I don't think that's how that would work. And then eventually, like, they try to show like the actual like pad where you put your foot for the brake pedal like comes off, so it's just like the bar or whatever, so he can't like quite.
And I
get
guess
his
at
foot on
one
it.
point Chucky gets under there.
Yeah, and he like
he's
presses.
gunning it.
And again, I was like, just hit the brake, because then you'll just like do a burnout.
Yeah, like
the brake
just
will
stop the car.
You trash the car, but eventually the car flips anyway, and it's trashed.
Yeah,
so whatever.
it's gonna be trashed regardless. And also, cars can be replaced, but
Yeah.
a human life cannot.
Yeah. Anyway,
Drive safe,
so
kids.
he has this confrontation with Chucky. He ends up surviving it, and then Chucky goes and sees the voodoo guy.
Yeah, the guy.
that,
He was
like,
kind of his like mentor who taught him all the stuff.
Yeah, and Chucky ends up killing this guy because he doesn't want. He's a serial killer, so I think he was just going to kill him
he's
regardless.
just an
but
evil
like also,
person.
he doesn't want people to like be able to like kind of piece together everything that's going
Right.
on. But this is where Chucky finds out that he has to transfer his soul into Andy.
Yes.
And then Humperdinck and the mom show up, and the guy's dying, and he's like, you have to shoot him in the heart, or
yeah,
destroy the
and
heart.
he manages to kind of warn them
Yeah.
as to what's going to happen.
So then the final confrontation is back in the apartment where Andy lives. Andy
has sprung the psychiatric institution because Chucky tried to kill him there.
Yeah.
So he manages to get out, flees home. Chucky
Yeah.
follows him. Humperdinck and Karen are like, oh, we also got to go home because that's where that's his safe place. That's where he would go. Yeah. So everybody's at the house now, and it's the final countdown. So
they do the whole big final encounter, and like, long story short, they end up defeating Chucky.
And it takes a lot.
Like, it's a lot. Like, they keep doing this stuff where, like, you think they got him.
Yeah, because they, like, fully burn him, so he's all, like, goopy and, you know, melted.
Yeah.
But then he's still moving.
Yeah, and then the mom ends up with, like, the revolver or whatever
she,
from
like,
Humperdinck.
Blows off his leg.
And, again, no indication she's ever wielded a firearm before. She's a crack shot. She does not miss.
She literally does not miss.
She's literally blowing limbs off of Chucky.
Yeah. Meanwhile, when Humperdinck was doing that chase, he couldn't get a single fucking shot in.
Yeah, he misses like most of his shot. He gets one shot because Chucky comes like right at him with a knife, and he's like an inch or two away from him and blasts him backwards. That is one really funny thing about Chucky. Again, another really funny thing I should say, that like every time Chucky gets shot in this, he hysterically flies backwards like he's been hit with a cannonball or something. It's very funny.
Which I guess makes sense because he is just a light little doll.
Kind of. Like, I would expect it to move and go backwards, but also the bullet's traveling like, what, 1,800 feet a second?
And it would just go clean through
Again, it's stuffing. It would just go right through him, so I don't know that it would do a lot. But he
always just, woo, and goes across the room.
It's very funny. But anyway, so he gets, like, dismembered, and that still isn't enough.
Yeah. He's like basically just crawling with like one arm on the ground. Like he's fully fucked up. Yeah.
But they eventually do, I guess, shoot him enough,
I guess. Well, they get him in the heart after a while because they think he's dead at first, and they are kind of having the moment of like, oh, you know, we're safe, and oh, but you're injured. Let me tend to you. And then he comes back, but they get him in the heart. So they think, hey, it's over. Yeah. You know, we did it. The cops are on their way. Yeah. There was another cop that witnessed it, so they'll be able to like kind of back him up, even though later on they talk about how like they don't like they spin a different story because it's not believable, basically. Yeah. But you know, it all works out. Andy doesn't go to jail.
Yeah.
Or die
somehow. But yeah, no, I think the movie is fun.
Oh, it's super fun. If you've never seen the Child's Play movies, or if for some reason you're not familiar with Chucky, I feel like he's so iconic, but in case you aren't, he's a wisecracker, you know, like he's kind of like, he's kind of got a Freddy Krueger thing to him where he's always making jokes.
Yeah, he's from that era where like the killers started to like really have a personality.
Yeah,
and
he's very
just, like,
sassy
big,
and
like,
crass,
hulking, knife-wielding maniacs.
Yes.
But yeah, he's very crass. He's constantly, you know, saying like talking shit. And, you know, whatever. There's a scene where when he's coming back to kill Andy in the apartment, or not, I guess not kill him, but transfer his soul into him or whatever. He's riding up the elevator in the apartment building, and he's pretending to just be a doll. Yeah. And he's been burned with like a cigarette lighter, and he's been shot, and he's all fucked up looking and everything. And there's like this older couple in there, and the woman is like, Harold, look, a kid left their doll in the elevator, and he's like, just leave it, they'll come back and get it. And then like they're walking off the elevator, and she lingers for a second, she's like, this is an ugly doll. And then after they're kind of like out of earshot, he just goes, fuck you.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's very, very silly, but I love it.
So it is a fun movie. I don't think it's like super scary. We can kind of talk about our rating a little bit here.
I mean, I think it's a very entertaining horror movie. I don't find it to be super scary.
I think there are some things with like, so let's kind of, we'll go into the rating in just a second, or like we can talk about the rating and then kind of like justify it. Cause like, for me, I've rated this as scares as a 5. I don't overall think it's like super scary. I think some of the imagery when he's like melted from the fire and he's coming after them, like his appearance there is actually the most terrifying, I think.
And I think there's good creep factor of like in the early phases of the movie when it's not quite revealed yet. There's kind of creepy.
But then there's one scene in particular that I think is the scariest scene in the movie for me anyway. It is when they're at the psychiatric hospital and Andy's trying to escape.
Oh yeah.
He gets into like a little like scuffle with Chucky, and then like Andy picks up a scalpel, and then the doctor guy runs into the room and kind of scoops Andy up, and he's like, "You're not gonna need that," and he's trying to like inject Andy with like a sedative or something.
Yeah.
And Chucky's in the room, but he doesn't. The guy doesn't know that
No.
Chucky's there. He also doesn't think Chucky is like real or a thing.
Right.
Like
He
whatever.
keeps
He
being,
thinks
like-
Andy is actually
like very
having, like,
disturbed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to do this, and while he's distracted, Chucky picks up the scalpel and then stabs
yeah.
the dude in the leg, and it's kind of bloody. It's not like super graphic, but like it made me kind of wince. I was like,
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, and then that's not even how he gets killed,
Yeah.
because then Chucky is like, all right, now we're going to take this electroconvulsive therapy hat that they have in
Yeah.
here, and I'm going to put that on the doctor, and I'm going to turn it up to 11,
Yeah.
and I'm going to fry
And he
him to
literally
death.
like fries him to death.
And
with the
you
electricity.
kind of like watch it happen. I actually thought it was pretty good special effects,
Yeah.
especially for the time, because they like really stay on it, and you kind of see like his skin discolor and stuff. So that was actually going to be my scariest
They do a
part,
couple
too.
of cuts where they go from like showing him with it initially on to like Andy's face, and then they
Yes.
cut back and he's like a little bit darker and
Yeah.
like, crispy now, and
Yeah,
they did like some of that red around the eyes and stuff.
I think it looked pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think like that's probably the scariest part. Like we talked about Maggie getting hit in the eye with a hammer. It's like really quick, and you don't really like. I mean, you see
And
it,
it
but it's
feels
not.
kinda
It's
silly.
not bloody
No,
at all. And then
no.
when she falls out the window, she just kind of like falls and then hits a car.
And you stay far away from that,
Yeah,
so you don't
like
linger
see any
on
like
it.
twisted limbs or anything like that. She's
Yeah.
just, just laying on a car.
I gave it a 4 because I think, especially for me, having a horror villain that is joking around and calling everybody bitch and stuff, like, to me that kind of cuts the tension.
No, I agree.
So I don't find it to be especially scary, but I did choose to make it a 4, which is higher, because I do think some of those scenes, some of the gore shots and things
Yeah.
are actually pretty effective. So I think that's in the mid range is fair.
I also think the performances in this are kind of they're 80s horror movie performances. Like some of the adult performances are like okay.
I gave it a 5.5.
Yeah.
And all of that 5.5 goes to Andy in that scene towards the end in the final showdown,
Yeah.
when he goes, "This is the
Yeah,
end,
so-
friend."
Yeah, because they're like, this is when they're gonna light Chucky on fire.
Yeah.
They trapped him in the fireplace, and again, remember, all of these characters have had struggled with throwing Chucky off of them.
Yep.
But now when they've got that flimsy ass little fireplace cover and he's in there, he somehow cannot get
He
through
can't
that.
get out. Yeah.
Also with doors, he somehow can't get through those either. But anyway, he's in there and Andy's like grabbing a match, and Chucky puts on the good guy doll voice and
Yeah.
he says, "Don't, Andy, I'll be your friend till the end." And then Andy, iconic.
"This is the end, friend."
And then he throws the match in there and he lights him on fire.
Literally,
very
when I
good.
watched that scene, I was like, they must have made him do so many takes, and I can just hear them being like, more,
More.
punchier.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
100 takes more. 200 takes more. But yeah, so, Andy's like an 8-year-old, so there's
Yeah.
some child acting, and I think
Yes.
it's not, there's a scene where he's in the psychiatric hospital when he realizes Chucky is like on his way to kill him, because he sees him like outside the window, like
Mhm.
climbing up the fire escape or whatever. He's like, he's gonna kill me. And he's like starts crying, and I thought that was okay.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But like the rest of it is just kind of like, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's child acting. So
I mean, this is a movie that you're in for the entertainment.
Yeah.
You're in for...
it's easily the best part of this is that it is just entertaining. It's just kind of a fun movie to watch.
Chucky's a fun villain.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a fun scenario. It's a fun thing to play with, especially with people like unsuspecting victims who don't know that Chucky is animated, because you kind of feel that like, oh, like, don't do that,
Yeah.
because like, I know I feel that every time I watch this movie, and you see Maggie towards the beginning, like carrying Chucky by the arm, and she's like knocking him into tables and stuff as she's like walking around with him. And I know that that's a real
Yeah.
person. So I'm like, do not do that. But of course she doesn't know that. So she's just, it's a toy.
Meanwhile, I'm like, yeah, whip his head into the corner of that thing. Give him a concussion.
Clock him.
Just fucking take his ass out.
Yep.
But yeah, so anyway, an average for me on the score was a 6.2. I think you got a 6.0.
Mine was a 6.0, so that gives us a 6.1 as our overall.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I'm almost positive like every other Chucky movie just takes like a nosedive after this. Maybe 2 is
Child's
okay.
Play 2 is good, and I stand by that.
I haven't seen it, so I
everything after that.
Yeah.
I also kind of liked Bride of Chucky because I just love.
Is Jennifer Tilly?
Yeah.
She does the voice.
Tiffany.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's also, I believe, in Cult of Chucky.
Yeah, she's in the later ones.
I think she somehow gets out of doll form at some point, though.
They do kind of a meta thing where it's like Jennifer Tilly is playing herself, I think, and it's like, I don't know. It's weird.
The series is fucked up. Anyway.
Yeah. But worth a watch. If you haven't seen this 80s classic, you should. I think it's a good one.
It is a good one.
I think you'll have fun with it.
I recommend it. It's a fun kind of stupid movie.
Yeah. Totally.
I think that's it for us on this one.
I think that's all we had.
Yeah. And
just as a reminder, we will be posting more details about the upcoming live show on our social media. You can find us at First Fright Pod on Instagram, X. We have a Facebook page, Love It First Fright. We also have an email address if you'd like to send us any feedback or movie recommendations. That is firstfrightpod@gmail.com. Yeah. And we want to let you know what we are doing next week.
Not next week, next time.
Oh, yeah. 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now. We are doing Eight-Legged Freaks, which I think we've both seen, but it's been a really long time.
I haven't seen it since I was very young. Yeah. We had the VHS of that.
If you are not a fan of spiders, do not watch this movie. Yeah. It is basically spiders, but real big.
Real big. It's not for you. No, you can skip that one.
I think if I remember correctly about this movie, the CGI is going to have aged terribly. Yeah. In this. Will not help people who are deeply afraid of spiders. No. Anything vaguely spider-shaped, it will probably deeply affect you. So just a heads up on that.
A little content warning.
Don't watch this. Don't watch this one.
Skip it.
You can just listen to the episode.
Yeah. I think that was all we had for today. We appreciate you guys listening and for all your support so far. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. As always, scare well. See you next time.
Bye.
We'll be friends to the end.
Bye, Tommy.
Tommy, I think your doll's trying to kill us. We should get Reptar. Reptar will save us.